Hello, friends. My name is Daniel Fontenot, and welcome to Jewels of Truth. Today, I would like to address the question, or at least begin to address the question of who the Antichrist is. I'm going to use, for my notes on this, an article that I placed in the local newspaper, and so I'm going to use that as sort of my anchor. I know this question has been batted around a lot over the years, and it's a terrible shame that there is such confusion on this subject, and many come up with all kinds of strange ideas as to who the Antichrist is. But let me just say this at the onset. For those of you who may be new to this channel, and are trying to understand this question, the answer to this question, or though maybe you think you understand what the answer to this question is. Maybe you have your own set opinion as to who the Antichrist is. But let me make myself very, very clear. You cannot, no one, myself, you, no one, no human being can understand who the Antichrist is if you do not understand who the beast is. Okay? The beast and the Antichrist, they go hand in hand in the Bible. You cannot, and even more important, let's go even before that. Unless you use the Scriptures, the Bible, to understand this subject, you cannot understand it correctly. And if you accept the Bible, if you truly accept the Bible as the Word of the living God, the infallible, inerrant, perfect Word of God, if you accept it, then to answer this question, you will go to the Bible to find the answer to this question. Okay? So, you would think people would understand this the answer to this question, but the devil has been very successful in confusing the minds of multitudes in regard to this very important question. All sorts of ideas have been put forth as to the identity of this diabolical character. There was a time when Protestants understood the identity of the Antichrist. And notice I said Protestants, not Catholics. Okay? Protestants understood the identity of the Antichrist. It was well known. You study the writings of Martin Luther, if you can find them. And all of the reformers, like John Wesley, John Knox, Zwingli, and others, they all understood who the Antichrist was. It was well known. There was absolutely no doubt as to who he was and still is. When the Bible was considered to be the infallible Word of the living God, the people understood and interpreted it according to its obvious meaning. But truths which are very plainly revealed in the Bible have been involved in doubt and darkness by so-called educated men, the theologians, the pastors, the ministers, etc., who profess to be teachers of the Holy Scriptures. They profess to be. They claim to be. Let me be clear. Satan, the greatest enemy of mankind, hates the Bible because it exposes his works and his efforts and his plans to destroy as many souls as he can and take them with himself into the lake of fire. Now, let me add to this also. During the Dark Ages, the Bible, people were forbidden to own a Bible. They were forbidden to preach from the Bible. People were burned at the stake. The Roman Catholic Church used the secular authority to burn people at the stake for daring to study their Bibles in their own homes. Satan is untiring in his efforts. So, now that he can't keep the Bible away from the people, he resorts to other means. He causes the people to consider it lightly. He causes the people to misinterpret it. Most people don't really consider the Bible as the Word of the living God, the infallible Word of God, brothers and sisters. Most people in the churches don't really accept it as the guide of life. He is cunning and deceptive, Satan is, even in regards to this subject. You think he would deceive the people in regards to this subject of who the Antichrist is? Yes. And he knows that the Bible enables men to discern his deceptions and withstand his power. Therefore, he palms off a counterfeit. Yes, even in regard to the subject of Antichrist. But because the people and the ministers do not take the Bible as it reads and allow it to interpret itself, there is much that is taught concerning this subject that has no foundation in the Word of God. I appreciate and agree with the words once spoken by Martin Luther. And I'm not speaking of Martin Luther King Jr., okay? No way. Martin Luther, the Protestant reformer. He said, I am much afraid that the universities will prove to be the great gates of hell unless they diligently labor in explaining the Holy Scriptures and engraving them in the hearts of youth. He said further, I advise no one to place his child where the Scriptures do not reign paramount. Every institution in which men are not unceasingly occupied with the Word of God must become corrupt. Can we not see that that is exactly what has happened? The institutions, even in America, Protestant America, because they have not been unceasingly occupied with the Word of God, have become corrupt. And so all sorts of ideas are out there in regards to even this subject, the identity of the Antichrist. Now, there are several scriptures which speak of the Antichrist, including 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4, which says, Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Who is this man of sin? Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. This is the Antichrist. This is the man of sin. Now, even though the word Antichrist is not found in these verses, still he is there. The word oppose in the verses quoted above has the same root meaning as the prefix anti, thereby connecting 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4 with all the verses in the Bible that speak of the Antichrist. The New Testament was written in Greek, so the definition of the prefix anti is in the room of, or instead of, or substitution. Okay, so it is evident from the verses quoted and from the definition of anti that Antichrist, the man of sin, tries to substitute himself for God and Christ in the eyes of the world. Okay? He substitutes himself for God. He substitutes himself for Christ in the eyes of the world. This is what Antichrist does. This is what the man of sin does. So who is the Antichrist? Well, we will continue to answer that question. We will answer that question in the next video. We encourage you to stay tuned and subscribe to this channel so that you can find the answer as to the identity of the Antichrist. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, please post them at the bottom of this video.